The second thing that second large architectural change was, of course, for compiled JavaScript. Now, JavaScript runtimes are extremely complex systems. You'll hear lots of acronyms: interpreters, compilers, intermediary languages, JIT. I'm not going to go into that level of depth today. I'm going to give you a high-level overview of what we've done. And that's with Internet Explorer 9, we've built a brand new JavaScript engine that has a brand new JavaScript interpreter. And what this allows is the page to immediately start, or the browser to immediately start interpreting your JavaScript code as soon as it becomes available. In addition to that, we have all the rich the characteristics of a JavaScript engine. We have a brand new set of frameworks that are extremely fast. We have a brand new type system and model for our type system. We have a brand new regular expression engine. But what we really want to enable with HTML5 applications is for that JavaScript code to be compiled into native machine code so that it executes extremely fast. We didn't want to block the initial page load or the foreground process, though, from being able to render your content. And we didn't want to do that compilation in the foreground. But going back to our CPU diagram today, most customers have multi-core machines, and multi-core machines are becoming more and more pervasive. In this case, again, a quad-core. If we look at Internet Explorer 8 and the way that kind of our process model works, and this is the same process model found in almost all browsers out there today. On the foreground, they do all of the, again, the downloading and display and parsing and rendering and interpretation of script. And they do very little on those additional cores. We went back to the data during our planning process, and we found that on average, using the same Windows Experience Index results, almost all customers have multiple cores. In fact, the average today is 2.3 cores per machine, per customer. With that in mind, we decided to take advantage of that additional processing power and compile all of the JavaScript that comes down off the page in the background. We've introduced, you may have heard it referred to as Chakra, which was the code name for our new JavaScript engine, the full background compilation. And what we'll do is we'll compile that JavaScript on the background core. We'll compile it into native code. And as soon as the native machine code is available, the foreground process will take advantage of that, and it will start executing native code rather than interpreting. Here's an example of what happens with in Internet Explorer 9. So again, on the foreground, we'll start interpreting, and we'll do all the parsing, the layout, the page rendering. And then in the background, we'll compile your JavaScript. And then as soon as it's compiled, we'll begin to use that. So let's put it all together. So we've talked about GPU-powered graphics. We've talked about compiled JavaScript. Let's look at what this does to sites. So here's an example website that was loading in Internet Explorer 8. You'll see that this is the CPU time. And then also on the right over here, you'll see that these little purple charts, which is once the page has been loaded, it's going to continue to update visually the page. So that takes some CPU time. In Internet Explorer 9, you'll see that these architectural changes have significantly changed the way that sites run within the browser. You'll see that the page loads much quicker. The native JavaScript execution allows the script later on in the process to execute much more quickly. That's the green pieces down here. You'll also see that once the page is loaded, we no longer spend a bunch of CPU time updating the page like we did in Internet Explorer 8. That's the power of leveraging the GPU for graphics. Now, I also wanted to put it all together for you for that flying images demo. You remember in Internet Explorer 8, it was running at about 5-6 frames a second. It was taking quite a bit of work to update the display. Here, you'll see the Internet Explorer 8 CPU chart. In green, we're interpreting JavaScript. We then change the location of the items and do a layout. In purple, we then go to display that to the screen. And then in yellow, we're actually displaying it. And this takes about, on the particular machine that this trace came off of, it took about a half a second to do that process. That's why we can only be 2, 3, 4 frames a second. So let me show you what this looks like in Internet Explorer 9. This is thanks to, again, compiled JavaScript and GPU-powered graphics. At the bottom here, you'll see in green where we're actually executing the compiled JavaScript. It's almost instantaneous to figure out where we need to move the images. We then have about the same amount of time spent in performing the layout. Finally, we'll display it to the screen in the purple and yellow piece. We hand it off to the GPU, and the GPU takes care of moving that for us. Now, I have exactly 13 seconds, but I wanted to show one more quick demo. And this is the most exciting part about Internet Explorer 9. What I have here is the XPerf tools, which ship with the Windows 7 SDK. These are tools that you can go and download today and use to help improve the performance of your websites. I'm going to go ahead and open a trace that I took. Oh, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and open a trace that I took of those flying images. And this is a CPU and a GPU trace. And you'll see here, this is the CPU usage, and down here is the GPU usage. And again, this is for the flying images demo. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And what you'll see is that for moving all of those images around, in this case, I was moving 256 images around, fully zoomed on this machine. I was only using a small fraction of the CPU. In fact, let's zoom in a little more. You can see that here I am using the CPU to calculate the location for the images. Here I hand it off to the GPU. The GPU relays out those images for me. So that flying images demo, again with 256 images, it's only using about a quarter of the CPU on the machine, and it's only using about a tenth of the GPU. And this is one of the things that excites me most about Internet Explorer 9, is really seeing what you as web developers are going to be able to do now that you can leverage the hardware with Internet Explorer 9. So that's all I have for today. I have 30 seconds to take a question or two. And then I'm happy to stick around for some time around the stage to answer additional questions. So anyone have a broad question? Yes? Is this data available to us anywhere, to look at, comparison that you made? So the PowerPoint presentation that I gave today, the question was, is this data available? The PowerPoint presentation that I gave today will be available. And so all the best practices that I showed, you can go and take a closer look at on your own. The XPerf tool set that I showed at the end here is broadly available with the Windows 7 SDK. So you can go do some of this performance analysis on your own. And then, of course, the Internet Explorer 9 platform preview was released this morning during the keynote. And I would encourage everyone to download the preview and start playing around with what you can do with Internet Explorer 9.
I was wondering about minifying the JavaScript. Is that as important if you've got the HTTP compression on?
So it's a very good question. And yes, it's still extremely important even with HTML compression on. And that's because you're compressing the contents of the JavaScript before the HTML compression kicks in and compresses it even further.
The other question is the compilation of the JavaScript that's done in HTTP5 or IE9. Is that cached after the compilation of the code?
That's something that we haven't discussed yet. The Internet Explorer 9 platform preview that was released today does not currently cache the compiled JavaScript.
Are these profile tools available?
I'm sorry, what was it?
The profiling tools that you use, are they available?
Yes, so the profiler tools that I used right here are available. This is the XPerf tool set, and it comes with the Windows 7 SDK. And of course, Internet Explorer 8 has a built-in JavaScript profiler. The new Internet Explorer 9 platform preview has the built-in network profilers or network analysis tools that we showed earlier.
All right, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm out of time, but I'm happy to take questions around the stage for a while. So thanks again.